Lupin the Third Part 6 Episode 15 perfectly encapsulates the essence of a Lupin story, except Lupin isn't the main focus of this episode. It's Daisuke Jigen. While Lupin is a wacky but somehow cool gentleman thief, this episode is dedicated to telling a gritty, love-torn narrative about his most trusted and loyal member of his crew. It starts off with Jigen throwing a flower into the river, foreshadowing the lost love that we'll talk about later on. Lupin sees a wedding on TV, and his target is the bride's jewels soon to be bestowed upon her at the ceremony. However, Jigen recognizes the woman and he goes to watch over her. Noticing a villainous looking man, Jigen gets some info about him from Lupin. He decides to guard her from the infamous criminal, and then we get a flashback. Milene, the bride-to-be, once treated Jigen's gunshot wounds even at the threat of a gun herself. It's surprising that Jigen was able to build a connection with this doctor, considering that he isn't the smooth talker that Lupin is. You can also tell that this episode is heavily inspired by noir-style films, and you have to admit that it's just plain cool. The dreary rain falling upon a hardened gunman, the dark background influencing the ambiance of each scene, and the silent, forlorn gazes of each character. They all scream moral ambiguity. They all yell, "This is a noir episode." I'm not sure that any other anime could pull this off. Lupin the Third is actually quite versatile when recreating different genres. Okay, back to the story. Milene reveals her backstory. She was an orphan who just wanted to save her parents from their illnesses. Now she can do that to other people since she is a full-fledged doctor. Jigen gave her some simplistic yet truthful advice. With what the world's become, there are only two real options. You just do it or you don't. Those plain words compelled Milene to start practicing medicine on her own. It turns out that she helped tons of people in her small town. And eventually, she even treated her future husband. In the present day, Jigen kills every single person after Milene except for one guy, and he does it in the coolest way too. There's just something epic about a sharpshooter with a revolver. Maybe it reminds me of larger-than-life Western movies. Jigen actually saves the wedding by advising the groom to hurry to her side, even though he was once in love with her. The wedding ceremony begins, and wearing a disguise, Jigen kills the last criminal. He protected Milene till the end, and it turns out she had already asked for Lupin's help to see Jigen again. The story concludes with Jigen throwing the jewel into the ocean because it wasn't about that at all. Lupin asks, "Why did you let her go?" Jigen answers, "Yeah, well, I'm just not like you." And maybe that's where this whole episode really hits different. Jigen chose not to be with Milene because he knew that he couldn't give her the safe, righteous life that she wanted, or rather, needed. He's a rambling man, and he won't ever change. Jigen loved her, yes, but he put her needs above his by walking away from a relationship. It's a sad story for sure, but it proves how mature and wise Jigen really is compared to Lupin. Lupin would have chased after her, ultimately leaving a destructive path in his wake. But Jigen? No. Jigen is a decent guy that doesn't want to demolish a lady's heart. That's the key difference between the two. Yet, somehow, they are the best of friends. This episode was cinematically no different than Casablanca. Jigen is a free roamer who is strong and likable, but he doesn't settle down. His nature is that of a free spirit. He can't be tied down to any one person. Lupin and he are two sides of the same coin. While Lupin runs around the globe, breaking hearts and stealing whatever he wants, Jigen is quietly supporting him from the shadows. He's not flashy, he doesn't want tons of glory, he's a simple kind of man, and honestly, that's the best kind of man. Through humility and courage, Jigen accomplishes everything on his list. Episode 15 of Part 6 is a bittersweet story. Jigen realizes that he's not going to be able to love this woman correctly, and so he gives up his own temporary happiness for Milene's lifetime of happily ever after. How many people do you know would do that? Truly the perfect conclusion to the already perfect episode of Lupin the Third. As a great man named Daisuke Jigen once said, "Nothing lasts forever. Life is full of goodbyes." If you like this episode analysis, please check out my video on why Cowboy Bebop is objectively the best anime. It'll be in the outro. As always, this is the Eagle-Eyed Samurai, signing off.